Hello, my friends, and happy Thursday evening. So today we have a take two on the Trilogy Necklace and Earrings. We had some issues last week. We didn't have internet. In fact, our entire area lost internet. It was very sad. We tried to go with cellular data and we got through about half of the video and then it was lost, and so we just never bothered to save what we had. So today we are starting from scratch. So let me show you what we're making today. And this is the turquoise lagoon version of the necklace, and yes, it does have a pair of earrings to go with it, although these are two separate kits. So and then I have another version of the Trilogy necklace and earrings, and that is moon-kissed sand. So this is a bit sandy, it's a little neutral. Depending on what you wear it, it can be a little bit metallic. So to me, this is just a really good neutral. And I'm really hoping you guys keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully this video goes off without a hitch. And this is what we're making.
Fonda says, good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday.
Hi, Fonda, and happy Thursday to you, my friend.
Karen says, good evening. Glad you're here tonight.
Hi, Karen. Thank you so much, and I'm glad you're here tonight.
Ellie says, got a chance to see the earrings in the store. Such a great blue color.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much, Ellie. I'm sorry I missed you.
Katie S. says, fingers and toes crossed that Facebook behaves tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Katie. All right, guys. So why don't we just get started? And I'm going to get started very similarly to how we started it last time. So we're just going to do a little bit of a not quite instant replay, but a replay nevertheless. So I am going to grab a few of my little 3mm crimp covers, and we are going to need a ball pin for our demo, and I'm just going to grab one of my 6mm faceted beads, and yes, it's dyed to look like turquoise, and it most certainly does look like turquoise. However, it is actually magnesite. So when you look at the price of the kit, it will reflect the fact that it is not natural turquoise, but instead magnesite that was very beautifully dyed to look like turquoise.
Pammy J says, hello, everyone. I've missed you.
Hi, Pammy J. I have missed you too. You probably know we had a little mishap last week. We didn't have internet, but we are going to make up for that today and tomorrow.
Trudy says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Trudy. And thanks for joining us.
And Connie says, good evening, everyone.
Hello, Connie, and thank you for joining us. All right, ladies. So I have my 6mm beautiful faceted turquoise lookalike on my ball pin. And now we're going to just review how to make a wrapped loop. So with my chain nose pliers, I am going to make a 90-degree angle, and I am trying to do this so that there's barely any space between the bead and where I'm making the 90-degree angle. So we actually need very, very little bit of space for that wrap loop. And the reason I'm making it a point is because I really prefer
loops that are organically wrapped, and that means they're wrapped twice. So we will need all that we can get out of this little wire coming out of our bead. So with my bail making pliers, I'm going to start a loop, and I'm using the smallest bail making pliers and the small side of that. As you know, bail making pliers have two sides. You can see that this is just a little bit larger. The side on my left is just a tiny bit larger than the side on my right. And I am going to use the smallest one of the two to make a loop. So we're going to start making our loop, and once we get to half a loop or something that looks like a question mark, we're going to stop. You don't actually have to take your tool out, and you can use your round nose as well if you don't have a bail making pliers. And now we just get to cross over by hand and complete our loop. So there's our loop. And if it's just a little bit to one side like I have, we can always correct that just by rolling it a tiny little bit. And now it is nicely centered. And so next, I'm going to use my chain nose pliers and hold on to the loop while I wrap into that little teeny space. And you may get 2 coils, or maybe you just get 1. No worries. So now that we've gotten to the bead by wrapping the entire space, now we're going to turn and go in the opposite direction, meaning from the bead to the loop. So now we are just wrapping right on top of the previously wrapped coils. So this is what it looks like. And it doesn't look terribly organic. It's not really messy like we do like it sometimes. It just looks a bit more chunky because we wrapped the outer coil right around the inner coil. And now I am just taking my chain nose pliers and pinching in the very end of the wire. Obviously, I did cut off the excess wire and pinched in the end, and this is what it looks like.
Ellen says, hi, everyone. Hi, Irina and everyone.
Hi, Ellen, and thank you so much for joining us. Okay, ladies, so now that we have reviewed the wrapped loop, we are going to do this in just a slightly different way. So this time, we are going to start making our earrings. And so our earring is going to be made on this little triangle. So since the triangle does not open, how do we take something like this and magically make it suspended on this the bottom side of the triangle? Well, let's see. So we're going to start this in the very same way. And I am just getting my ball pin. And this time, instead of wrapping the loop by itself, we are going to, so as you can see, I'm starting in very much the same way. So I'm making a 90-degree angle. And now I am using my bail making pliers to create the loop. And so this would be right around the time that we start wrapping the loop, except we want to connect this loop to the triangle. So we're going to string the loop right onto the triangle, and only then are we going to wrap the loop. So very similarly to the one we just made, meaning I start wrapping from the loop to the bead, and as soon as I get to the bead, I just go in the opposite direction and wrap from the bead to the loop. And as soon as I have enough of a coil, I'm just going to cut off the excess wire and pinch in the end of the wire. And so now our little bead is connected. And we are just going to do the same exact thing 2 more times. So to save us a little bit of time, I pre-looped the next 2 beads so that now we just have to coil them. And so while I'm coiling, it's all going to be the same. So I can give you a little bit of news. So as you know, I do these videos, or for anybody who is new to these videos, you may not know this, but I actually do these videos every Thursday and Friday, or I should say most Thursdays and Fridays. Okay, I goofed this up just a tiny little bit, so this loop is just a little bit more organic. No worries. So as you know, I do this every Thursday night and every Friday morning, or most Thursday nights, I should say, and Friday mornings. So I will be doing a video tomorrow, and I will give you a little preview for that in just a little bit, or sometime by the end of this video. But next week is actually going to look a little bit different. Instead of a Thursday and Friday video, we will actually be doing a Wednesday and Thursday video. So the Wednesday video will take place of Friday video. I hope I'm not making this too confusing. So we actually changed the dates on our event page. Well, really, it's only one date. So instead of Friday, the 26th of May, we're going to be making a video Wednesday, the 24th. And so this is what I just did. So clearly, our beads are connected. That's a great first step. But wait, there's more. So now we have to do something to make our beads stay in place, because and you know what, let's just do this. Let's connect our ear wire and see what happens. And what I'm predicting that is going to happen is everything is still going to be sliding on the earring. So you can see that everything is just kind of very loosey-goosey, and it's sliding back and forth. And this is probably not the best way to make this earring. So let's make this new and improved, right? So the key to this is going to be using our little 3mm crimp covers. So I'm just going to sneak up, I'm going to move the necklace just for now. So I'm going to sneak up on these little components or crimp covers. And the best way to do this is just kind of hold on to the crimp cover so it doesn't move, and then sneak up on it with the chain nose pliers so that you have the open part of the crimp cover that's very easily accessible. And now we're going to start placing them in between the beads. And so here we go. I'm just going to, okay, it moved a little, no worries. We'll just do this again. So it's just a little bit awkward because we're trying to get in between all these little wrapped loop components. All right, we'll do a take 3, and this is going to be the charm. And you know why it's not being super cooperative? Because it is very close to the size of the actual triangle. So on the next one, I'm just going to show you how to remedy this. So you guys have seen me do this like a schmillion times. So all I'm doing is using my chain nose pliers to almost close the crimp cover. And you get to the point, oh, and by the way, This is how you open the crimp cover. And I know some of you have seen me do this also a million times. So we're going to insert our chain nose pliers into the crimp cover. At this point, you really want to hold on to the crimp cover nice and tight. Okay, so this is a little too much. You know, as I always say, if it's going to go awry, it usually does on camera. So you're going to want to do this very gently, not like what I just did. And so you can see I just opened the crimp cover ever so slightly. And I think what I'll do is just do that with every one of the crimp covers. And this is going to make our process just a little bit easier. And these two are stuck together. And so we'll take them apart. And this one seems to be open enough. And this one will open a little more. Okay, now we're really good to go. So whether you do this with your fingers or you do this by picking it up with the chain nose pliers, we will just continue the process of putting our little crimp covers right at the base of the triangle. And this is what's happening. So I can only push it together so far, and then it just looks like a little open seam. So what we do is you kind of sneak up with your chain nose pliers right next to that open seam, and you close one side at a time. And this takes a little bit of finessing. I'm trying to hold it towards you guys, so I'm hoping that you can see it. And so here we have a couple of crimp covers next or in between a pair of beads. So now I'm going to do the same between these two beads. So again, just use your chain nose pliers and pick up the crimp cover, and then the opening of the crimp cover straddles the base of the triangle, and we push the two sides together. And of course, once you get to the point where it will not close, then you do each side one at a time. And next crimp cover. All right, so, you know, the more you do this, the easier it gets. So there we go. And, you know, once you close them, they just look like a little round bead. And sometimes it ends up being just a little bit more organic than round, but that's okay too. So I'm almost there, and I have a pair of crimps, or rather crimp covers, in between each loop bead component. And so now I just have the ends to do. So the same thing. And so all together, we're using 6 crimp covers per earring. So the last pair are just going to go outside of the pattern. I hope that makes sense. I think it will once I show you. So I just added that little crimp cover. And now I am just going to add one more on this side. So by the time you get to your very last crimp cover, I have to tell you, it's going to be just a little bit snug. So just get it in there, and initially it's going to seem like maybe just a little bit too tight, but once you close it, you will see that all of your beads are moving very nicely, and it's really not too tight. It's really just right. So now I'm just working at closing this little bead.
Allie says, yes, it does. Clever use of crimp covers.
Oh, thank you so much, much, Allie.
Kim K says, Happy Thursday.
Yay! Thank you so much, Kim, and happy Thursday to you as well. All right, so here is our earring, all finished. And you can see that some of the beads are just a little bit lighter, some are a little darker. So, if it makes a difference to you, you can always pair them so that they're mirror image, or sometimes I just go with the flow and it seems to work out. Okay, so this is how we make our earrings. And now we have a necklace to make. So this is what the necklace looks like. Actually, let me do a little bit of housekeeping and just move some of these little things that we don't necessarily need. And so this is the necklace. And unlike the earrings, which are kind of, it's a specific shape, but the necklace is just a knotted necklace. And what I did is I decided that it's long enough where we do not need a clasp of any kind. So it's just, this is what it looks like. This is a series of wrapped loops in a pattern, and of course the rest is knotted. And this is what it looks like at the back of your neck. So this is what it's going to look like. And there's a really good reason why I did it this way, where I have a section that is not knotted, it's not beaded, and it's finished very, very simply. And this is because I really like to layer my jewelry, and I know that a lot of you guys do. And in fact, you could even make this section a little wider if you want to. This makes it very, very easy to wear multiple necklaces because this is very minimal at the back of your neck, so it leaves a little bit of room for the rest of your necklaces.
Karen says, brilliant design.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen.
With the earrings.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I'm so glad you like it. All right, ladies. So let's get started on the necklace. So when you open your kits, and yes, all of these are listed in the Etsy shop, so you will find 14 feet, and actually I don't remember if you have two separate segments of 7 and 7 feet, or if it's just 14 feet. Well, either way, I think it's two sections of 7 feet. So the very first thing we are going to do is we're going to make a self needle with all 4 ends. So you should have 2 lengths of Ceylon, and those 2 lengths are 7 feet each. So mine is just a little bit shorter because it makes it easier to work with on camera. I also have a piece of paper that I folded like this, and we are going to use this to make self needles with super glue glue. And this is a very, very simple technique. All we're going to do is just drag a little drop of our super glue over, I would say, 1.5 to 2 inches. And then take your little piece of paper and remove as much as you possibly can. And now we're going to move on to the next end. So as I said, we're just going to do this with all 4 ends right away.
Allie is wondering if we have super glue in the store. She ran out.
Oh, yes, Allie, absolutely. We definitely have it in the store. I can't really live without my super glue. It's a staple for me. All right, guys, so 2 more ends. Yeah, so come on down. We'll set you up with some super glue. And so I'm just doing these the 2 remaining ends, and it's really important that we take off as much of the excess glue as we can. So did you hear that nice squeak? So make it squeak, and that is how you know that you're removing as much as you can. All right, so now super new glue actually dries very, very quickly, and it's not quite dry, but right now all I'm doing is just lining up the ends because I am about to look for the center of my 2 segments of C-line. And this is where the center is. And so the very first thing I'm going to do is tie an overhand knot. This is that knot, very simple, where we just make a loop, push the other side of the string, or in this case, the 2 strings, through the loop, and that's it. All you do is just tighten the knot. So the knot is going to end up somewhere very close to the center. So don't worry, don't make yourself crazy. It does not have to be dead center. As long as it's pretty close, it's good enough for me. So next, I'm going to take my 4 ends, which are already dry. You can see I'm touching them. They feel completely dry to me. And I am going to use my cutter to cut those ends at a nice 45-degree angle. And the reason that I cut them at a 45-degree angle is because literally we're making something that looks and kind of feels like a needle. It's going to act like a needle for our purposes. So we want it nice and kind of pointy at the end, so it's very easy to go through our beads. And where we made that initial knot, that is going to be our center. So just for fun, we're going to have one of my samples right here so that we can see the pattern really well. And so you can see I have 3 components with wrapped loops. So actually I did pre-wrap a few of the components so that we can save a little bit of time. And so here are my 3 little components. And so now we are going to start stringing, and we're spacing everything. Oops, we don't need the crimp covers right this moment, so I'm just going to take these away. And we just need these little cubies. So these are not the cubies that I use most of the time. These are a slightly differently shaped cubie. It's kind of a softer shape. When you look at it, it's kind of like, wait, is it a round? Is it a cube? What is it? If a round and a cube had a baby, it would look something like that. So it's kind of a cube with rounded edges. And the spacing of the cubes is very much the same as the spacing of our crimp covers. So we have 1 cube, then we have a component, then we have 2 cubes, a component, 2 cubes, another component, and then a single cube. So very, very much the same way that we spaced everything for the earrings. And so I am stringing my first little cube. And next I have the loop component, and now we're going to need 2 more cubes. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, do you see how I'm holding the 2 self needles? I actually have them a little bit offset, so one appears longer than the other. And this is because where they are stiff, like where we made the actual self needle, they might be ever so slightly thicker. And so if you hold them exactly side by side, it may actually make it just a little bit more challenging to string those cubies. But you can see how very, very simple this is For me, they just go on very easily, and that is because of the way I am holding the two ends. And this is our very last one. And that is the end of our little mini pattern. And we're just going to tie a knot at the end of this. So slide it all the way down to our initial knot. And again, this is going to be right in the center of our necklace. And so we're going to tie an overhand knot again using both of the strings, and don't make it too tight. So give it just enough room where it can move very, very easily. This is a very kinetic type of piece. So we want everything to move nicely. We don't want it stiff. So that's why you don't bunch them up before you tie the knot. And now I am, so I have my center and I'm getting ready to continue my pattern.
Allie says, so pretty. Reminds me of your Metamorphosis kit from a while back.
Oh, thank you so much, Allie. I am so glad you actually remember my projects. I'm very flattered. All right, guys. So next we have this little spacer, and it's I love these little spacers. They're Tibetan style, which means they have a lot of beautiful detail that almost looks like it's handmade. And we're going to string that on both of our ends of our ceylon. And so the hole is just big enough for both ceylon ends to go through. And now, oh, wait a minute. Okay, I was a little bit ahead of myself. I'm just going to leave this on here. But what I forgot to do is tie the next knot. So the next knot is going to go, about 10 to 12 millimeters from the last. So this is what it's going to look like. So again, I'm using both ends of the string to tie a knot. This is what it looks like. And now we can slide our beautiful Tibetan style spacer down to the knot and tie another knot on the other side of it. So everything is going to be spaced very, very similarly. 10 to 12 millimeters, and then once you have the knot, just tug on each side of the string individually, and that will most definitely affix whatever it is you're knotting into place really well. And again, we're going to tie a knot, and I don't really need any kind of a measurement or a spacer as far as placing these knots. But if you feel that you need to measure, you can do that. You can always use a ruler, or you can use the straw method. Some of you have seen my straw method. It's actually a very common method. And so now we are going to tie, or rather string our next bead. So the next bead is going to be the turquoise magnesite bead. And if you noticed, I'm only using a single string for the magnesite bead. Well, first and foremost, the magnesite bead is just not going to fit over both of the string ends. So you just use the one side, and as we tie a knot to knot this into place, we're going to do this in a very specific way. We don't want the knot to end up on the side of the bead. We want the knot to end up as close as possible to the hole of the bead. So the string that is not going through the bead, we're just kind of going to bring this over. And so think about bringing it over and holding it in place like this. And then you make your overhand knot.
Jane says, I love your knotting kits, Irina.
Oh, thank you so much, Jane. You know what? I have to tell you guys, I enjoy knotting so much. To me, this is just very, very zen. I could do this all day, really. And we are going to do this one more time. And tie another knot. This is probably one of the most relaxing techniques, if not the most relaxing technique I know, at least for me it is. And so now to complete the pattern between these little sets, I'm going to use another spacer and string it onto both ends of the ceylon. And again, we're going to knot this into place. And so, of course, let's not forget that we're going to be going in both directions. So what I like to do is just go a little bit in one direction, then turn it around and go in the other direction. And I keep turning it and doing a little bit more on one end and then the other end. And this is just a very easy way to keep the initial set in the center.
Allie agrees with Jane because they're nice to travel with and you don't need a lot of tools to knot.
Oh, you know what, ladies? That is a wonderful thought. You're absolutely right. If you're going to be traveling, take a knotting kit with you. That's a great idea because you don't need tools. You really, really, the best tools are right here. They're built in. They're your fingers. So, yeah, eventually you might need to trim your string or something, but that is so very, very minimal. And if you don't get tools, it's a lot easier to bring your projects on a plane, right? All right, so we'll just knot a few more, and then we'll go on to the next few steps. So again, I am on the other side at this point, and now that I'm about to add one of the turquoise dyed halide beads, I am only going to string it onto one of the strings. And so our goal is always bringing the knot to the hole as much as you can. So I'm being very deliberate in how I'm holding my finger. Do you see how I'm literally pushing the string so that it meets its friend right at the hole as I'm tightening that knot? And again, the best way to tighten a knot is just pulling on both strings one at a time. And so this is going to be the last one that I show. So this is the spacer, and of course the spacer goes over both ends of the string. And bring the knot right there to the component. And so this is already starting to look like our necklace. And of course, once you have this set of beads in between our little sets that look like the focal point piece. So we have the spacer, the faceted gemstone bead, and then we have the other spacer. So on either end, we are just going to continue the same pattern, meaning you tie another knot. The spacing is very much the same. So we're just going to tighten our knot, and then just as before, we're going to start stringing our next set of the 3 beads with wrapped loops. And of course, those are spaced with our QBs with the rounded corners this time.
Katie S. says, I love this pattern.
Oh, thank you so much, Katie. You know what? It's so fun to do. And it's so fun to wear because, knotted pieces, just, at least in my opinion, knotted pieces just feel good. They feel so organic around your neck. I do wear a lot of knotted necklaces. So the entire pattern is going to be very much the same. So we're going to have these wrapped loop sets, and then everything is going to be spaced the same, about 10 to 12 millimeters, and in between those, of course, we will have a set like this with lots of space, so this is space for movement. It's also space for layering. I actually have a little bit of an idea of another necklace that is going to be very fun to wear with this necklace. Although it's not necessarily, how can I say it? It's not a set. It's not like you have to have both. But I do have another thought about making something that would look so nice layered with this one. So this is all we're going to do until we get to our desired length.
Allie says it's a fun way to use leftover beads too if you have Ceylon hanging around.
You are absolutely right, Allie. So just, gather all your favorite leftover beads. Although I will say that the reason, at least in my opinion, the reason that this is impactful is because all the beads are the same. So I don't often do this. In fact, I really like to vary my beads. I like a lot of color. But this is the type of necklace that is impactful because of the repetition of the same shapes and because of the strong color. So we have the really strong color with the turquoise lagoon, and then of course moon kiss sand is a completely different thing. In fact, before we're finished with the video, I would love to just show you what these look like on, because I think they're just so much more fun to see on. Okay, guys. So you get the idea. We're just going to keep going until we get to our desired length. And then what? How do we create that little space and make it nice and clean? And I know this is not necessarily the plan, but my strings are a little bit separated at the top. It just kind of happened that way. But, the thing is, just imagine that this is my neck. This is like the back of my neck. Once it's around your neck, it just takes on the shape of your neck, and it looks great. And plus, there are probably, at least in my case, there are probably going to be multiple pieces next to it or on top of it, because I really do love layering my jewelry. Okay, so now we got to this point where I continued with the same pattern, as you can see. So we have our trilogy component, right? And so we have, okay, let me show you the whole thing so you can see exactly. And of course, when you get the kits, you will get a very nicely detailed picture of this where you can see exactly what I did, and it'll be very easy to follow. Okay, I'm trying to figure out which one is the center, and this is the center one. So this is what I did. I follow the same exact pattern until, so I'm just going to refer to this component with the QBs and the wrapped loop beads as a trilogy component, right? So I have 7 of the trilogy components. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so once you have those, again, for ease of wearing, everything that happens after that, I simply did the spaced beads. So and I just noticed I have a little boo-boo right there, but things happen. So I have my last trilogy component, and then I just have the Tibetan style spacer. And in this case, of course, it's the coated agate. So then I just start adding the coated agate beads and the spacer beads until I get to my desired length. And so here we are. You're all caught up with where I am right now. So you add your very last bead, and it could be the agate bead or it could be the spacer bead. Does not matter which one it is. The only thing that does matter is this. Let me point out. In making the second knot after your last bead, leave a little bit more space. So here, let me grab my chain nose pliers so that I can show you that there's a little extra space between the last bead and the knot. So this is still all very, very simple. And all I did differently is just leave about 4 millimeters between 4 millimeters of sealon between this last spacer bead and the knot. And I did the very same thing on the other side. So that's going to help us with finishing this necklace. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to take one of the strings, okay, and this got a little bit frayed as I was creating the necklace, so we can recut it a little bit so that it's very easy to use it as a needle. And so you see what I'm doing? I'm just going through that little space between the last bead and the knot. Okay, and we're going to pull this in. And however long of a space you want to leave in between the two ends of your necklace, this is the moment. This is the moment that you decide just exactly how long this space is going to be. It could be 2 inches, it could be 3 inches, it could be 4 inches. You decide. Because this is really more about comfort than anything else. And it's also about all your other jewelry looking great as you wear it with this piece. So I guess I'm just going to use that much, maybe 3 inches or so. And I'm going to tie a knot. And yes, you guessed it, it's just a regular overhand knot. So we'll make sure we tighten it. And so now I have just determined how long this space is going to be. I didn't measure it, so maybe it's more like 3.5 inches. Okay, so now, as you probably recall, I took these ends from the opposite side. So now I'm going to do the same and take these two ends. In fact, I'm just going to take one of these two ends and go through the little extra space between the opposite side bead. Okay, it doesn't want to allow me, so maybe I'll just use my chain nose pliers to open it up a little. And then I'm going to use my self needle to go through that little space. And there we go. So the key is, if you want this to look nice and neat, is to match the length. So I'm just making sure that this is as stretched as it's going to be.
Ellie says, so clever, makes sense seeing you actually demo it for us.
Oh, thank you so much, Ellie. It is my pleasure. And so now, while holding onto it, you know, I'm being careful not to pull on the strands and not to make it shorter. So now I'm just making the second overhand knot using the remaining set of sealon ends. So this is what it looks like before I make it really tight. I'm just making sure that I still like how everything lines up, because I can always move the knot a little bit if I have to. Okay, so this is what it looks like. And we have these two knots. Now that you've tied them, it's really okay to pull on them and do whatever you need to do. So what is it that we need to do? Well, good question. We are going to use the super new glue once again. And this time we are gluing those knots we just made. So just the outside of the knot. In fact, you know, when I say we're gluing the knots, I never actually put the glue right on the knots. I put the glue on the string, the excess string that is eventually going to be cut off. And then with a piece of paper, I gently guide the glue towards the knot. Because, and you know, if I'm not sure that I got enough on the knot itself, I might just add a little more. But the reason I do it this way is because I never ever want to over glue the knot and then have the glue run down the actual side of the string that I'm going to use in the necklace. That's never a good thing to do. Because of course, as it dries, as the glue dries, it's going to make the string kind of brittle. So we never ever want to over glue the knot. And so as I guide the glue to the knot with a piece of paper, I also remove any excess glue. And as we know, this glue dries very, very quickly. And so this should be, well, it's still a little bit tacky. So, you know, I would like to give it maybe 30 seconds or so. So while it's drying, let's do this. Let's look at our next week's preview. And this is the preview for next week. It was actually supposed to be for this week. But since our internet was not all that cooperative, we moved everything by a week. And so, so this is, well, actually, let me just, before I tell you about this, let me tell you about the shopping event, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow we have our Friday shopping event, and that is the Summer Treasures live shopping event, and that's going to be Friday, May 19th at 9 a.m., 7 a.m. CST.
7 p.m.
What did I just say?
7 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
That's a little early.
It is? 7 p.m.?
It's 9 a.m. CST.
I'm
You said
sorry.
7 a.m.
You know what? I'm so used to talking about this event, which of course starts at 7 p.m. Yes. So we have the shopping event at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And this is going to be on the Eclectica page. Again, it's 9 a.m., not 7. 7 is very early. So this is 9 a.m. Central Standard Time on the Eclectica page. And I really hope you guys join me for that. And that is going to be really focusing on summer treasures. So summer findings, summer colors in glass, summer colors in stone. There's going to be a little bit of lamp work. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be quite eclectic. Just as we like it. Okay, guys, and then, of course, this bracelet is Tribal Echoes, and this I'm going to be doing next Thursday, May 25th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And this is going to be on my page, just like today's video. And I already have the alternate color, which I'm pretty excited about, both colors actually. And you'll just have to, you know, come and be surprised next Thursday.
Allie says perfect match for your jacket.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, these are just so me colors, you know. Well, I love color and I love all colors, but of course some colors I love even more. And turquoises and oranges, all those burnt oranges and corals just happen to be some of my faves. And I love mixing it all in kind of, to me, this is a little bit of a watercolor palette, and I love that. Okay.
Amy says, so pretty.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And okay, guys. So, oh yes, and I just want to mention this again, just in case if anybody misses this in the beginning of the video. So for next week, there is no Friday video, but instead there is a Wednesday video. So, so let me backtrack. So we have the shopping event tomorrow. Then we have the Wednesday video, which is also going to be a shopping event. And if you guys have ideas about next Wednesday's shopping event, if there is something you guys want to see, please let me know. I love your suggestions. I'm always so appreciative of when you let me know what it is you would like to see. And then we also have the Thursday video, and that is the Tribal Echoes bracelet. So I hope that was not super confusing. All right, in the meantime, guys, we have our necklace, and it's most definitely been long enough. And we are going to trim all of the excess glue. Sorry, not glue. I was just thinking the glue is dry, but we're not trimming the glue. We're trimming the excess seal-on, right? So we don't need these long seal-on ends anymore. And of course, because we did a pretty decent job of gluing this, we can get as close as we want and nothing will come apart, nothing will fray. That is the magic of super new glue. I love it. Okay, guys, so now this is what we have. It's really starting to look quite nice, isn't it? Without all those extra ends. So now we just have some finishing touches, and the finishing touches are going to come in the form of 4mm crimp covers. And so for this, we are definitely going to need to open our crimp covers just a little bit wider. So it's very much the same as what I did when we were making our earrings. So you just hold on to your crimp cover nice and tight, and don't open it all the way like I did with the first one. That was clearly, I just don't know my own strength sometimes, right? So, so this is what we're going to do. Don't worry about the knot that is 4mm away from the spacer bead. The only knot we're concerned with is this knot, the one that's moving, the one that we just cut off all those extra ends from. And so now we are going to take our crimp cover and put it right on top of that knot and use whatever is most comfortable. It could be your fingers, like what I'm doing. It could be your chain nose pliers or your flat nose pliers. And if you need to just kind of push the knot in a little bit, that's totally acceptable. And now we are going to start closing it very deliberately. So the initial knot is still kind of on the outside of the crimp cover, and the very last knot we tied is inside that crimp cover. So just keep going, keep closing the crimp cover, very nice and slow and very deliberate. So as you can see, it's almost closed, and now all I have to do is just close that seam, that very little bit. So I shift my pliers to right next to the seam, and I think that this part is so much easier to see on the slightly bigger crimp cover. And can you guys see? I closed it where you cannot, like, you can see the seam, but barely. right? You kind of know it's there, but really it just looks like a round bead. And let's do the same exact thing on the other side, and we'll hide that other knot. So the knot that came before it.
Allie says, yep, looks great.
Oh, thank you so much, Allie. Yeah, so the knot that came before it is, it's not ugly in any way. So we really do not have to hide it at all, because that is not the knot that we put the glue on. It's only when we glue the knot and then we cut off those ends and it looks a little bit ugly and it's kind of scratchy also. That is when we really want to hide it inside the crimp cover. And so there it is. I just put the remaining crimp cover on. And this one is also just a little bit separated because, well, you guys probably know I'm not a machine. So yeah, they're going to separate a little bit unless you get the two knots exactly the same. Then they're not going to separate. But really, it doesn't matter a whole lot, because this is just going to be on the back of your neck. In the meantime, we just finished the necklace, and I would love to show you how great it looks on. I think it looks really fun. Last week I had a kind of a charcoal, like a dark charcoal top that I was wearing, and today I have a different color, so I hope it still looks good on my kind of a burgundy Viva Magenta sort of color, but I guess we will see. The most important thing is that it stands out, right? So I'm just going to remove some of my other necklaces, maybe just the one. And let's do the turquoise first, because of course turquoise is so vibrant. Okay, so I'm looking for the back of it, and hi guys. Hello. So looking for the back, and I found it. It's right here. So, and of course you can make it longer, you can make it shorter, you can make it whatever you want. So what do you think? Isn't this like really fun and summer and vibrant? I love how it looks on a contrasting color. So, so this is the turquoise, but wait, there's more. We just finished the Moon Kiss Sand, so let's try that on as well. And this one is a little bit longer. So, okay, I have some fuzzies. All right, so what do you think?
Fonda says looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fonda. And which one do you like best? Do you have a favorite? So you can see these little trilogy components. They'll just kind of flip-flop back and forth. For the most part, I think they like to flip-flop to the outside. But however they choose to flip-flop, it just looks fun either way. So I don't think you you want to necessarily try to control which way they go, because really, unless we glue them in place, they're just going to do what they do.
Trudy says both are great.
Thank you so much, Trudy.
And Connie says looks beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So here, let me do this. One is a little longer. One is a little shorter. If you want, we can measure them in a moment. But of course, everybody's a different size and a different height. So just to give you a little idea, I think I'm 5'3", maybe I'm 5'3.5", something like that. So this is what it looks like. But you have a lot of string in the kit, so you can just make it perfect to fit you. So here it goes.
Fonda says I love both colorways.
Thank you so much, Fonda.
Karen says they will be fun to wear. Love the movement.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love designing jewelry that moves. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's just so much more fun. All right, ladies. Well, I think we are all set for today. And we made a necklace, we made earrings, right?
I'm going to put them right here so that we can do our usual thing and see everything together. Although, as you saw, they look so much better on because, you know, this is the type of necklace that's really meant to be worn. It looks so much better on than like on a piece of flocked fabric.
Fauna says stacking necklaces to go with stacking bracelets.
You got it. I love stacking. You know, the more the merrier, I think. And the more color, the better. Oh, and by the way, what did you guys think about the moonlit variation? Did it look a little bit metallic-y when I had it on? Because when I had it on charcoal, it almost looked metallic. It looked silver. So I did like that. And that, of course, makes it very neutral and just very easy to combine it with nearly anything else. So, okay, guys. So I believe we have accomplished everything we set out to accomplish.
Karen says, thank you for sharing. Love this design. See you in the morning. Good night, all.
Yay! Thank you so much, Karen. And I look forward to seeing all of you in the morning. I have some really, really fun pieces picked out. I have, well, it's beach glass, kind of a quote unquote beach glass. Everybody had been asking me for beach glass lately, and I have some really, really fun, vibrant, super cute beach glass to show you tomorrow. I'm very excited about that, as well as a bunch of other things. Okay, ladies, and again, I'm going to try my best to remember to say it tomorrow, but next week, we do not have a Friday video, we have a Wednesday video. So think about it, just ponder, what would you like to see in our Wednesday video? It will be a shopping video.
Allie says, yes, looks like metal. Both are great. And Amy says, thank you. Beautiful project tonight.
Thank you so much, ladies. I really appreciate it. Okay, guys, thank you for all of your comments. I love them. Thank you for your future suggestions. And of course, have a wonderful and creative evening tonight. I will see you in the morning.